Our planet is filled with some pretty mind-blowing unanswered questions and beliefs. Just as a whole, that can include anything and everything, from paranormal activity to what lies within the oceans. But Earth itself as an actual planet is the centre of many myths and mysteries. Like the question of is the Earth hollow, to the much debated and mind-blowing discussion of how the Earth even came to be. Here are 5 fascinating myths, beliefs and unanswered questions surrounding the most magnificent planet we know of, Earth. This is a pretty chill video, so I hope you sit back and, as always, enjoy. Is the Earth flat? We have all been taught in school that the Earth is a globe and have seen the spectacular photos taken from space showing an entirely spherical planet. But there are a group of people who are convinced the Earth is flat. Flat Earthers, as they are known, believe the image of Earth portrayed by various space agencies and governments is false, and is part of a worldwide conspiracy. The majority believe that the Earth is round, but rather than being a sphere, it's a flat disk, with the centre of Earth being the North Pole, and the outer edge of the disk being Antarctica. Day and night is explained by the positioning of the Sun and Moon, which are 2 spheres that move in circles and light up different parts of the Earth during a 24-hour period. Flat Earthers also believe there must be an invisible anti-moon that obscures the Moon during lunar eclipses. As for gravity, they maintain there is no such thing, and objects fall naturally, possibly due to electromagnetism, density or pressure. So how have humans been able to circumnavigate the Earth? While that is simple, they are supposedly travelling a circular path around the North Pole, but is there any evidence of all this? While Flat Earthers will argue that if the planet were a ball shape, it would be impossible for the horizon to rise to eye level, and that even when looking out of an aeroplane, the horizon is always flat, and even the sea will always appear level to the naked eye. I would like to delve a lot deeper into this theory, as I've only scratched the surface, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it, and whether you think it's a crazy conspiracy, or whether it has some truth behind it. Is the Earth hollow? The Earth's core is the most inaccessible part of our planet, and the truth is, for centuries, scientists have tried to establish what lies deep within it. Currently, what is known about it is an assumption and not a fact. So how possible is it that there is nothing in there? Well, from a scientific perspective, it's believed to consist of 4 layers. The deepest layer is a molten ball of metal. Next comes a slightly cooler layer of liquid iron, known as the Earth's magnetic field. The next layer is the mantle, and then comes the Earth's crust. But let's suppose researchers have judged this wrong, and like some believe, the planet is a hollow ball that can be entered via giant gaping holes located at the North and South Poles. This theory was first suggested in 1818 by John Cleve Symmes Jr., who was so convinced he was right about this that he organised an expedition to the North Pole to try and travel to the inner Earth. However, the then President of the United States blocked the attempt. Symmes was convinced, rather than the Earth being layers of solid matter, it is in fact a hollow shell containing 5 smaller concentric shells, all thousands of miles thick. He proposed that inside these inner shells there are plants, animals, lakes and oceans, just as there is on the outside of the shell, and believed the curvature of the 2 North and South Pole openings was gradual enough for a person to enter the inner Earth without even realising it. Although this was Symmes' fundamental belief, he did simplify this theory in later years and claimed there was maybe just one concentric sphere capable of sustaining life and possibly another race. But if this seemingly crazy thought is true, just who or what could be living down there? Who lives in the hollow Earth? Let's suppose that Symmes was right in his theory, and thousands of miles beneath the Earth there is another world similar to ours. Who lives there? The most widely believed theory is a civilization called Agartha. They are thought to be a race of superhumans who occasionally come to the surface and oversee the development of the outer human race. They have close links to the Buddhist and Hindu religions, and there are millions of them living in cities and towns who communicate with the outside world through a network of tunnels. And in terms of evidence to support this seemingly crazy thought, there's actually some interesting stuff. The first scientific evidence ever released to the public was in 1947, when Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd of the US Navy claimed he accidentally flew into the inner Earth through an opening in the North Pole. He described a lake of lands and lush greenery, with huge animals and a thriving civilization. He also claimed he and his crew met the ruler of Agartha, who expressed concerns for the future after the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He maintained he was then guided back to outer Earth and revisited inner Earth in 1956. Although Bird's discovery quickly made headlines, it seems it was quickly suppressed, supposedly by the US government, and any subsequent articles were also intercepted and destroyed. But Bird is not the only one who has claimed to have stumbled upon the inner Earth, with some saying the people and animals who live there are larger than humans and live for between 400 and 800 years. There is virtually no illness, and money is unimportant. It's also claimed that in 1942, Nazi Germany sent out an expedition to find the entrance to the inner Earth, and it's not known if they ever found it. One of the more interesting claims was from Colonel Billy Fay Woodard, who claims to have visited inner Earth several times through a series of underground tunnels beneath Area 51 in Nevada. His story is incredible, and I might explore it in another video, as it does open up the question of alien life living beneath us rather than above us. It's like one of those things that seems so silly we dismiss it before ever actually thinking about it. What's your thoughts? Is the world really suffering from global warming? Over the past 50 years, the global temperature has risen at the fastest rate in recorded history. This isn't a myth. NASA backed the idea that we are warming as a planet, and experts predict this could just be the start. The speed that our world is heating up is frightening, and it's predicted that unless we cut global warming emissions, the temperature in the US alone could increase by 10 degrees Fahrenheit over the next 100 years. Now, don't get me wrong, the planet throughout time has fluctuated in temperature without the influence of humans. And with 5 major ice ages taking place throughout the Earth's history, could it be we are simply experiencing a hotter period? Or are we the leading cause of the Earth's rise in temperature? Regardless, what exactly does this global temperature increase mean for humans? And how will global warming affect our lives in the future, if it continues to rise? Well, scientists predict if the world temperature rises by just 2 degrees, it could cause mountain glaciers to disappear, as the permafrost holding them together would melt. This in turn would cause floods and landslides. By the year 2100, sea levels could rise by a meter, which would displace 10% of the world's population, and smaller countries like the Maldives would become submerged underwater. The increase in heat would eventually cause the deaths of many people as they struggle with the higher temperatures. Our ecosystem would be severely disrupted, and a third of all life on Earth could be annihilated, including many plants. In as little as 100 years, the world's food centres would become barren, and fresh water could be scarce. 40% of the already depleted Amazon rainforest would be destroyed. But if the globe is really warming as much as we believe, hurricanes could increase around Australia, Asia, and the southeast of US, causing death and destruction. If the temperature kept increasing and rose by 4 degrees, then this would cause coastal cities to be engulfed by the sea. The ice from the North and South Pole would melt and cause the sea to rise by up to 50 meters. China in particular would be hit hard by the increase in temperatures, meaning world staples like rice, wheat and maize would fail. Summer would be longer and forest fires would rage out of control. Even the usually chilly Britain could see temperatures up to 45 degrees. If the temperature went even higher, to say 6 degrees, it's predicted the rainforest would turn to desert, and people would flee their native countries in search of more inhabitable parts of the world. This could result in conflict and even war. Oceans would heat up and become stagnant, meaning an increase in hydrogen sulfide, which would kill the sea life. This could also create a buildup of methane hydrate under the sea, which could be catastrophic, as it's highly flammable and just a tiny spark or lightning strike could see fireballs in the sky and cause explosions bigger than nuclear bombs. It all sounds like a horror story, and although we would need a lot more time to talk about this, do you think global warming is happening at the frequencies which have been predicted by NASA and other agencies? Or do you still think it's a myth? My thoughts are that we often worry about messing with the wrong country in case we start a devastating war. But are we picking fights with the most powerful army of all? Mother Nature. How was the Earth formed? Where do I begin with this? How the Earth came to be is one of the biggest unanswered questions out there, and comes with many myths and beliefs. Now I'm going to start by saying, taking religious beliefs away from the creation of Earth, even from a non-religious perspective, we still have no idea how the Earth formed, according to science. But what are some theories, including religious ones? While from a Christian perspective, there are a few variations, but the principle is that God brought the universe on Earth into existence from nothing, or that he created it from matter that already existed. Those practicing Buddhism do not think Earth was created, but instead believe that it simply existed forever, and everything is caused by past events, which become the cause of future events, which all happen without the influence of a god. Islam suggests that Lord Allah created the heavens and earth in 6 days. It also teaches that Allah made from water every living thing. From a Hindu point of view, the earth and universe is not the beginning, but preceded by an infinite number of universes, past and present. And in some Chinese mythologies, the earth and universe originated from H2O. A non-religious perspective indicates the earth was created from the solar system, which 4.6 billion years ago was a cloud of dust and gas. This collapsed in on itself and formed a sun, with the remaining heavy materials forming rocky planets including Earth. That's a very simplified belief on how the Earth formed from a scientific and religious point of view. But like I said, no one is sure how the Earth was created, and each beliefs have their own variations and in turn their own contradictions. Without any of us arguing over our views, what's your honest thoughts on how the Earth came into existence? So that's 5 myths, beliefs and unanswered questions surrounding planet Earth. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.